So I've been talking a little bit and I've been actually really present to giving and receiving. And I wanted to talk about giving and receiving in general, but then also what came up for people when I talk about giving and receiving is guilt. So today I'm here to talk to you about how high achieving women often do feel guilt. And so how do you release guilt? And my favorite way to release guilt so that I can be in this practice of giving and receiving, which requires me to first talk to you about giving and receiving. So how do you start to give and receive, and why does it matter? So it's really how the universe works, is like when you give, you can receive. Like there's a flow of energy forward and back. Like that's actually how it works. And so for many of us, what we want to start to do is learn how to just give. And when I talk about giving, this is very distinct from overgiving. Overgiving is giving from a place of depletion. It's giving from a place of I have to. It's giving from a place of guilt, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really giving in a generous way. Because when you start to give generously, then you can actually start to receive. You can actually start to receive things from other people. You can start to receive time and gifts and generosity and start to feel that. But the way you have to start the way to receive is you have to give first. And the way you give first is actually you have to start with yourself. And so how do you start to do this without feeling guilty? And this is the big thing. So what happens for a lot of high achieving women I find is that they first feel guilty sometimes for not doing it at all. Like, oh, I know that walking makes me feel better. I know that moving my body is really good. I know that taking a bath at night to calm my mind is really good, but they feel guilty for taking the time away from family, or they feel guilty for not doing it. They feel guilty for all these different reasons. And then even doing it too, sometimes then you can feel guilty, like, oh, I took time for myself and now I feel so guilty around doing it. And this is the thing about guilt, is guilt blocks you. Guilt blocks, by the way, giving and receiving. Guilt blocks so many pieces of what is actually you're trying to do in the world, which is actually to open up the flow and actually have giving and receiving be part of your life, and so that you can have all of those things. So when you have guilt, you're not going to be able to be in that energy of back and forth. So what I want you to start to look at is like, how can you start to give to yourself generously, which is actually what's going to allow you to then give generously to other people, not from guilt, but actually from, I have so much I want to share. I have so much to do. I've been in these practices, and so I'm sharing from my experience around this. And the most important thing to do around this is when you start to feel guilty is what do you do around it? So my favorite way to release guilt is to, here we go, make it fun. Literally, that's it. I just try to make whatever it is that I'm doing fun. And my favorite way to make things fun is through music. My favorite way is to put on one of my favorite dance songs, for me, usually BTS, and then I dance around while I'm doing the thing that I need to do. So I might put a really fun song on while I'm booking time to go to the gym, because it's something that I do for myself. I might put a song on when I'm actually on the walk, when I'm like, okay, I feel guilty because I'm not spending time with my clients, or I'm not forwarding those emails or doing the messages that I really need to be doing right now. All right, I'm gonna make it fun. And so when you can start to put on that music and do something to make it feel fun while you're either planning it or while you are doing it, then you start to have this association in your mind that taking care of myself is actually fun. And you could even put on a good song while you're running a bath. Put a good song on in the morning and dance around a little bit, and then do your stretches. Like, what can you do for yourself to actually make what it is giving to yourself be a fun event, be a really good event, something in your life that actually you enjoy doing and you associate with, like this great song. Pick a great song, whatever it is that works for you, and then it's so much easier, right? The guilt just actually disappears. We don't have to rationalize it. We don't have to think about it. You don't have to figure out where it comes from. But actually what I'm interested in for all of you is just to make the shift, just to be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make this really simple. I'm gonna make it really fun to take care of myself. And then you can just go do it. And I'm talking about like going out on your 15, 20-minute walk. I'm talking about just doing anything for yourself that's gonna make you feel like you're filled up, your cup is full, you feel really good and energized. And now it's so much easier to care for your kids. It's so much easier to be with a partner or a spouse. It's so much easier for, if you're like me and you work with people, to be able to give from a really generous place rather than from a place that's pretty contracted. Okay, so this is really such a simple step, and if you can be in for that, pop in a thumbs up in the chat and say, yes, I can do that. I can commit to making things fun whenever I feel guilt, okay? And that's really it for all of you.